Well, welcome. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Viewers, just about a few days ago, the government was to make a big announcement. India waited with bated breath because most of us thought that this announcement would be military retribution where the Pahalgam terror attacks were concerned. It was a big announcement, but it had nothing to do with retaliatory measures on Pakistan. It had everything to do with one of the most politically contentious issues, caste census. The government has decided they will go ahead with a caste census. The larger political reading, it is a U-turn by the government. Two questions. Has the government checkmated the opposition and taken away its biggest poll plank? Or on the contrary, has the government caved under political pressure, playing now on the opposition's political pitch? And in midst of it, how will the BJP politically maneuver this move? Straddle both Mandal and Kamandal. Take a
look. Just a day after the Narendra Modi government announced caste enumeration as part of the upcoming nationwide census, the BJP and opposition are locked in a fight to take credit for the decision. While the Congress described the government's move as a victory for Rahul Gandhi, who had made caste census the cornerstone of his Lok Sabha election campaign, the BJP called past Congress leaders anti-reservation.
लंबे समय तक देश की शासन में कांग्रेस पार्टी रही। कांग्रेस पार्टी कभी भी इसकी पक्ष में नहीं रहा। नेहरू जी के समय से राजीव गांधी जी तक सभी समय में उनकी दृष्टिकोण आरक्षण के प्रति, वंचित वर्गों के प्रति, विशेष करके पिछड़ों के प्रति नकारात्मक रही है।
He was not born at that time. That's why he is telling like that. By birth, the RSS is against reservation.
The decision to hold caste census comes months ahead of assembly polls in Bihar. The BJP, which used Hindutva to build a base in the state, now adds Mandal to its Mandir formula with a new bid at social engineering. The Congress claimed removing quota limit is the real issue in Bihar.
प्रधानमंत्री अभी बिहार जा रहे हैं, वो कुछ भी कहें आरक्षण को लेकर, 65% आरक्षण लागू नहीं होने वाला है बिहार में जब तक ये 50% सीमा नहीं हटाया जाएगा।
OBC leaders in North India who rode the Mandal wave to power have joined the race to claim credit for caste census.
ये लालू जी हम लोगों का विचारधारा की जीत है और शुरुआत से ही हम लोगों ने इसके लिए लड़ी है और लड़ाई लड़ करके हम लोगों ने हासिल किया है। हर एक एजेंडा सरकार पीछे पीछे रहती है, लालू जी आरजेडी आगे आगे रहती है।
हम सबके सम्मिलित दबाव से भाजपा सरकार मजबूरन ये निर्णय लेने को बाध्य हुई है। सामाजिक न्याय की लड़ाई में ये पीडीए की जीत का एक अति महत्वपूर्ण चरण है। भाजपा सरकार को ये चेतावनी है, भाजपा की प्रभुत्ववादी सोच का अंत होकर ही रहेगा।
Now with the Modi government announcing caste census, the question that follows is, will the 50% reservation ceiling be breached once the population count is done? Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, viewers, so there's one side that actually feels that by announcing that the government will hold a caste census, it's taken out the sting of the opposition's poll plan. In the near future, the Bihar elections in long term, because if the caste census takes place with the national census, which in all probability will take place 26-27, then in a long-term fashion, taken the sting out of the opposition's poll plan going into the Lok Sabha elections coming in later. On the other hand, what really brought about the U-turn of the government to finally conduct a caste survey? And will the BJP be able to straddle Mandal and the Kamandal when it comes down to Indian politics? Let's take all these questions to our panelists this evening. Joining me, Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson, BJP, Mahima Singh, National Spokesperson, Congress, Ranjat Sethi, political commentator, Ashutosh, political analyst, Amitabh Tiwari, author and analyst. Each of you will get a 2-minute window to make your first submissions, and then we'll hopefully get in a lot more elements coming in and we'll go one by one. But Sanju Verma, you know, if we look at the chronology, it seems to be a long walk from it is a concept of the urban naxals to a historic decision.
You know, Preeti, first and foremost, let me say one thing very categorically. An idea is only as great as its execution. You know, you can build flaky castles in the air, but if you cannot marry grand vision with seamless execution, that idea is worth nothing. And I applaud Prime Minister Narendra Modi unconditionally and unequivocally as a bona fide citizen and not merely as the national spokesperson of BJP, that we are finally going to have a caste census. It will be brought to fruition. What happened in the past, I'm not going to dwell on it, because if we have to go into the past, then let's not forget, Preeti, that on the 6th of September 1990, Rahul Gandhi's father, Rajiv Gandhi, on the floor of the Lok Sabha said that a caste census is divisive, communal and polarizing. And Rahul Gandhi's grandmother, Indira Gandhi, after winning the Chikmagalur by-election in 1978 said, "Na jaat pe, na paat pe, muhar lagegi haath pe," clearly denouncing any form of caste census. So first and foremost, let's get this very clear that under Article 246 of the Constitution, at number 69, caste census is the prerogative of the central government as per the 7th schedule of the Constitution, and we are going to go ahead with it. Don't forget that the caste census that was undertaken in 2011 was a sham, a hoax by the then erstwhile Congress dispensation. There was no clear methodology. The questions were filtered in some cases, unfiltered in some others. There was no standardized format. And Manmohan Singh on the floor of the parliament has admitted that, the SECC of 2011 did not achieve the desired results. And I'm sure that in the case of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when we go ahead with the caste census, we are actually going to give wings to the Prime Minister's concept of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas in every sense of the term.
Your time is up, ma'am, but you talked about the idea as good as its execution, but the idea till not very long ago was an idea of urban naxals, and now it's a historic idea. I just wanted to bring in both the parallels there, but you gave the chronology of a dateline. I'll circle back to you with another chronology, and I want to bring in before that Mahima Singh of the Congress party. Mahima Singh, the fact is yesterday it seemed that the Congress was taken with full surprise. It does, in looking at it at a micro level. You have Bihar elections coming in at a larger level, the next Lok Sabha elections. It's practically taken the sting out of your campaign, which you were building brick by brick ever since 2023. And you did immediately face the fruits of it, especially in Uttar Pradesh, where it did seem Mandal did trump Kamandal.
Jai Hind, Preeti. This is a cause. The caste census is a cause that the Honorable Leader of Opposition, Shri Rahul Gandhi, has championed for the longest time. And finally, it is intriguing and it is good to see the BJP playing on Congress's pitch yet again after they stole ideas from our manifesto for good and executed them or not. That is a matter of analysis. But it is good to see the BJP spokespersons blowing hot and cold. It is good to see that the BJP is finally coming to terms with, at least even if it is for the optics, coming to terms with the constitutional values. Now, finally, we'll have the right answers from them when the right questions are raised. Just like Jairam Rameshji said earlier today in his press conference, when he said that Mr. Narendra Modi is a champion, is a master of giving headlines without deadlines. Now we want to know what is the roadmap. We don't want to see this hanging in shadows, just like the women's reservation bill. We want to know what is the roadmap. The caste census is already delayed for 6 years. In 2019, after the Union Cabinet meeting, a press release was brought out and a figure of 8254 crores when the caste enumeration was not a factor included, was dedicated for this task. Now this year, the Census Commissioner's Office has been allocated a budget of merely 575 crores. So it will be good if the government states its intentions clearly and comes out with a roadmap and shares it with the nation. Unlike the questions on national security where this they hide behind, national security, and they say we cannot speak openly. We also want to know what stops them from removing the cap of 50% in reservation.
Okay, ma'am, your time is up. I'll circle back to you. I want to bring in Rajat Sethi into this conversation. Rajat Sethi, the fact is very clear. Legally speaking, the government in 2021 in its affidavit made it very clear that they were opposed to a caste census. Political commentary in early 2023 to late 2023 again seemed to suggest that the government felt that a caste census would only divide the country further on caste lines. Something changed, and many say it was feedback from the RSS. The RSS embarked on an outreach campaign and apparently circled back to the government and said, you need to do this and you need to do it now. And it was feedback that actually, in a way, the BJP was very quick to learn and unlearn.
So, well, Preeti ji, I'll start off with the first phrase that you used, that BJP has taken the sting out of the opposition. In my understanding, there was no sting. And this was proven by the recent victories across India. Multiple states went into election. And this was pretty clear that no matter how much you want to hoodwink the people, the opposition will not succeed. At one time they might, and in others they will certainly fail. Another point is that the devil lies in the detail. Congress had done this exercise. And we remember what Chidambaram, when he was the Home Minister, remarked about the caste census, and Congress never walked the entire talk. And we have been pointing this out over and over again. They tried doing something in Telangana, they tried doing something in Karnataka, everything fell flat. And this was the reason why the apprehension was coming in. What do you stand to gain? What is the end game in this whole thing? And a lot of supporters of the BJP still are asking this question, that if the BJP is doing, it cannot be taken in the face itself, because Congress and the others have still not given a legitimate sort of a thesis around which what is their end game through this business, and falling into their game is not what Prime Minister Modi stands for. He stands for strong, decisive leadership. And I believe this is where I think the BJP supporters on national media are also asking the question. Forget about timing. Timings, I mean, I am principally against this question that let us question the timing. I am more about let us question the thesis. I am not in support of it, because this clearly is a divisive line. If you want to do social justice and do affirmative action, there are other positive ways of doing that. The positive ways are that how do I elevate economically all the underprivileged classes and bring them to a level so that they can compete on merit. The other hand, Rahul Gandhi comes with a perverse idea that the merit as a concept is wrong. The entire countries who are superpowers today, including America, China, they have stood up on shoulders of merit and merit alone. And this leader, who himself is an antithesis to merit,
so
has always opposed merit.
Your time is up, but Rajat, I'd give you that, because you've been on multiple debates on the caste census with me, and every time you've taken a contrarian view. Well, you do so today as well. So has Sanju Verma, but that's the beauty of being a political spokesperson. And and sometimes you've got to defend your party position. But I would bring in Ashutosh now. Ashutosh, the sheer fact, the fact is, the Bharatiya Janata Party might have been opposed to it, the government might have been opposed to it. That meeting which one thought that the Prime Minister had at the 7 Lok Kalyan Marg at his residence with the chief of the RSS, Mohan Bhagwat, had to do with retribution where Pahalgam was concerned, but clearly it was the caste census. The government took immediate feedback, because at the back of the RSS carrying out a nationwide outreach, seemingly coming back with the feedback that politically this is important for you, and they immediately acted on it.
See, Preeti, we all remember on 2nd October 2023, when Nitish Kumar came out with the caste survey report. On the same day, Mr. Prime Minister was in Gwalior. And what he said in the rally was that caste census kind of a thing is a sin. It is dangerous for the country. And then he went on to say that there are 2 castes only, rich and the poor, and then he extended to the 4 castes in the country. Issue is not that. Issue is why the government has been pushed to do this. This is basically nothing else but a damage control exercise. And damage control exercise, why I'm saying so? Because more than 50% OBCs and the Dalit, they comprise of almost 70% and more than 70% of the population. If they have been vociferously demanding, including Rahul Gandhi, Tejaswi and Akhilesh Yadav, then sooner or later BJP had to do this. The problem with the BJP is that they are always think and believe into this, that this caste system is basically, the caste divide is basically against the Hindu unity project of the RSS. That is why they were too reluctant to do this, and that is why Prime Minister said it's a sin. But you remember in Palakkad, when the meeting was happening with the RSS, the Sunil Ambekar came out and said the caste census should be done, but only for the welfare measure, not for the politics. But the issue is, can they ignore 70% of the population? No, they can't. But now here is a conundrum. The conundrum is that with the caste census thing, how the upper caste will react. And if you look at the social media platforms, you will realize the upper caste is hugely disappointed, disillusioned, and now they are openly criticizing. Can BJP afford to do this? To have a OBCs and Dalit with them and ignore upper caste?
Ashutosh, I'll come back to you. Let me cut across to Amitabh Tiwari, who studies elections and especially how different communities actually vote. Amitabh Tiwari, do you reckon the caste census is a gamble for the Modi government? Formulation of what possibly many suggest is a Modi 2.0. Do you reckon it's a reform, or do you think it's clear, plain ballot strategy?
No, see, largely if you see, the objectives are multifold. One is, of course, a political objective to blunt the narrative of the opposition, which has been harping on the fact that BJP is anti-caste census and it will not conduct a caste census. So in political strategy, there is a saying that one should not, or opposition should not demand anything from the government which it can easily do or implement. Correct, because it is very, very difficult to take credit. So one is political. The second is, of course, electoral. BJP or Congress or any other party is here for winning elections. The 2024 Lok Sabha elections showed the limitation of Hindutva. In the past 10 years, if you see, even now, the BJP has not been able to get more than 50% support of the Hindu community. Amongst the OBCs, they lost around 4% support in 2024, whereas the India bloc gained 11% and 7% amongst upper and lower OBCs. The number looks small, but if you dissect and get into states, especially the Hindi heartland, in Bihar as well as in UP, the BJP or the NDA lost 10% to 20% support amongst the OBCs. So that was you can say a call sort of a thing. Now, what does it do? It's not only immediate. Of course, there is a Bihar election. In 2020 Vidhan Sabha elections, we know the difference between the two parties was only 12,000 votes. Even in Bihar in 2020, the MGB was able to expand its vote base. The bigger election is UP, wherein the PDA trumped the Kamandal in Lok Sabha elections, and bipole elections, we all know, are not very indicative of the general mood. It also gives BJP a poll plank for 2029 Lok Sabha elections, and that is something which it would like to go into the elections, because how many times it will go to the public saying, "True, ek baar Modi Sarkar, fir ek baar Modi Sarkar."
Amitabh ji, I'll come back to you. 2 minutes are over now. Contrary to good sage sense, I'm going to attempt something which I'll possibly regret during the course of this bulletin. I'm going to take away the timer, and maybe because we are having a freewheeling chat, we can all, and the fader is not going to fall. So I would hope you respect that. I'm allowing, that contrary to what my, producers are suggesting, because it's a freewheeling chat, right? So Sanju Verma was someone who always says chronology samajhiye. I want to take you through some of the chronology, which really looks at a U-turn which happened, and why did it happen, and I'd like to get the reasons from you. December 2021, Union Minister Nityanand Rai says the government had no plans to collect caste data during the census, whenever that census is conducted. The government, in its affidavit in the Supreme Court in 2021, says caste census unfeasible, cumbersome. We are not having it. It's not going to happen. October 2023, after the caste census was conducted by the Mahagathbandhan government in Bihar, Prime Minister Modi called it an attempt to divide the country. Then in November, December 2023, you had the RSS that came out and said a caste census can be carried out for the purpose of enumeration as long as it doesn't create the division in society. Then exactly after that, you had an Amit Shah who came out and said that, listen, we are not opposed to a caste census. We are not pro it, but we are not opposed to it. Then suddenly everything started changing, especially since Nitish Kumar and other allies of the NDA from Bihar came and said, we are in, bit of a hot water if you don't announce the caste census. So is it all plain politics, Sanju Verma, is my question. Sorry to take so much time in that question. Go ahead, ma'am.
No, Preeti, I'm glad you set the tone of the question by giving out that chronology. And on a lighter note, it's not political spokespersons alone who change their stand. I've seen political analysts, journalists, and the opposition doing so with even greater fervor. Like they say, change is the only constant.
Ask me, ma'am. I know lots of journalists who turned in the last 1 decade. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes. Coming to the moot point of this entire issue, let's be very, very clear. Caste census under PM Modi, is it about identity politics? No. It is about policy precision. It is about data-backed governance. It is about using scientific facts and verifiable objective criteria to ensure that welfare schemes deliver and the beneficiaries are those who actually need the benefits of these welfare schemes. Does it mean adequate representation to everybody? Yes, of course, without fear or fervor. And as far as Rahul Gandhi and this entire cabal of Nitish Kumar ke pressure mein aakar Bhajapa ne ye kiya, that is what Lalu Prasad's acolytes have been saying. If you know Narendra Modi never likes to have a gun to his head. मोदी जी को कोई प्रेशराइज करके कुछ करवा नहीं सकता, ये भली भांति जान लीजिए। जो नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 2 साल पहले कहा था लोकसभा में, दिस इज व्हाट आई विल रीइंफोर्स फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ द ऑपोजिशन। तुम्हारे पांव के नीचे जमीन नहीं है, लेकिन कमाल तो ये है तुम्हें यकीन नहीं है। एंड एज फार एज चेंजिंग स्टैंड इज कंसर्न, राहुल गांधी लोकली सेज रिजर्वेशन का 50% कैप हटा दीजिए। He goes abroad, he sings a different tune. In India, he says, merit is necessary. He goes abroad, he says, merit is a flawed concept. So let's not talk about who's been doing this turncoat business. But I will just say one thing to you, Preeti, which is very, very important. And this is some data that you can verify. When the SECC of 2011 was undertaken, they said that the OBC population in India was at 52%. तुरंत 2 साल के बाद कांग्रेस के सरकार के तले जो एनएसएसओ का सर्वे आया, they said no, OBC population is not 52%, it is just 41%. Similarly, the SECC of 2011 said Dalit population in India stands at 20.14 crore. 2 साल के भीतर एनएसएसओ कहती है मनमोहन सिंह की, नहीं जी, दलित पॉपुलेशन 20 करोड़ नहीं है, दलित पॉपुलेशन was only 16.66 crore. So what I'm trying to say is that what happened in 2011 was a hoax, a sham, and the NSSO surveys completely were at contradiction with what the 2011 census said. It is to iron out these discrepancies that the caste enumeration will happen in 2011.
Okay, as I bring in Mahima Singh, but Sanju Verma, the fact is, in 2011, all these figures are hearsay because the numbers were never quite made public where the caste calculations or the caste demarcations were concerned. That number was not made public. So we were still actually functioning.
These numbers I'm quoting public numbers. These numbers I'm quoting from the SEC of 2011.
All I'm talking about is what we are looking as a caste census. Those numbers were never made public. So a lot of, like for example, and Mahima Singh in Karnataka, there is a survey that you did 10 years ago. Everybody has the survey, but officially nobody has the survey. But I'll come back to you. Mahima Singh, on a larger question there, taking off from even with what Sanju Verma said, but the political point of it. You might be stressing on the caste survey, but the ultimate goal was over years to foster and to cultivate a counter-Hindu polarization at the back of constantly harping of the caste census. Now, that possibility is not possible anymore for the Congress.
So, Preeti, first of all, let me bust the lie that caste survey exercises in Telangana and Karnataka have gone in vain. No, it is not true. Telangana census, the caste survey exercise has been a success, and we are sitting right on the brink of blowing away the 50% reservation cap. The BJP and RSS supporters and office bearers will not understand that because their forefathers and now their current leaders have always been opposed to the idea of the reservation, including their ideologue, the RSS. Now, coming to your question, the cabinet in Karnataka government convened a meeting this April, 17th of April, and the meeting, the imminent now, is on May 9th. And you know that the caste survey report has been in the discussion mode for a long time. In between,
10 years in the making, ma'am. 10 years in the making. Surveys take place 10 years in the making. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Make your point.
I'll quickly make my point. I'm saying that it is in the stages of discussion, and we are inching in towards success. And there's a cabinet meeting scheduled for May 9th. Let's see what comes out of it. And our caste surveys are being discussed in our CWCs, and a fruitful outcome is only imminent, Preeti.
All right. Okay. That was short and crisp. Ma'am, allow me to bring in everyone one by one, ma'am. Please allow me. I want to bring in Rajat Sethi into this conversation. Rajat Sethi, how do you read the move? Clearly, you affirm that this is clearly not the best move that the government could have made. Maybe it's political compulsions. But do you reckon that this time around, because you see that the government is trying to foment a Mandal 2.0 of sorts, which includes the caste calculations in it, is it possible for the BJP, keeping in mind the current caste calculations?
See, there has been a degree of perversity around reservations that have come in, especially if you talk about OBC reservation. Rohini Commission is a case in point. The subcategorization of OBCs is important, and the benefits of reservation within the OBC has to be more democratized. Same goes with the Dalit reservation and tribal reservation also. We are seeing that families, specific families of Dalit community, are only taking away all the benefits of reservation. Can BJP, or does BJP have the spine to actually correct all the injustices that have crept into the reservation system? I will 100% come out in support. And this is what I'm saying, that you need to come out and put it in as clear terms as possible, so that you can at least ensure that your base, which stood in principally opposing this very shabby thought process of the Congress party and their ilk on caste census, that can at least be addressed. And I'm saying, broke the ceiling, 50% break the ceiling, take it to whatever level you want to, as long as justice to the truly underprivileged communities of our country are served. It cannot be that the Yadavs take away all the political, educational and economic benefits over and over and over again. And we are seeing symbols like Tejasvi Yadav hogging in the face and taking away all the political benefits that come out of reservation. Okay. That is something that I'm opposed to, and I believe that BJP should do this extra exercise so that its core narrative that Hindu Samaj cannot be broken down under caste lines.
You know, we're just
yes, if there are injustices, they have to be addressed in the face.
You know, we're giving out figures because clearly the government has listened to what the national perspective is right now, Ashutosh. The Mood of the Nation survey, which was carried out, and you can see through the course of 3 surveys, from 59%, it went up to 74%, and at 69%. Possibly 7 in 10 people in India believe that a caste survey needs to happen. So quickly the government has taken that feedback at the back of the RSS outreach program. The fact, Ashutosh, is that the Prime Minister and the BJP somersaulted, and they do it very quickly. Can the Congress now come up with a new narrative, and how do they now go ahead from where they stand?
See, Preeti, I think it's easy to take the name of a Yadav and say they are hogging all the limelights of reservation and everything. But what about those who thousands of years have been hogging all the privileges, all the benefits, everything? Have they ever said sorry for this? Have they ever indulged into any kind of penance? No, they will not. Because it's easy to target a Yadav, it's easy to target a Kurmi, it's easy to target a Paswan, it's easy to target these people. See, the sense of entitlement in a particular class in this country is so big that when the question of reservation is raised, they talk about merits, as if the Dalits and the OBC, they do not have merit. But what kind of entitlement is this? This is a different kind of entitlement, and that has to be condemned. Openly, it should be condemned. So that only merit is only belongs to the upper caste. Merit is only belongs to the upper caste among the upper caste. What kind of nonsense is this? Was Baba Saheb Ambedkar not meritorious? So this whole logic has to go.
Okay.
First of all, let me tell you this. This caste census is just the beginning. This caste census will go to demand, and the ceiling of the 50% will be broken. If the government does it, good enough. Otherwise, it will go further. And this reservation should also go into the private sector. That is where it is going to lead.
And that's where I draw that question from. There might be political math behind it right now, Amitabh Tiwari, but this is opening a Pandora's box. You don't know where we are going to go. You don't know what the opposition is going to tip the scales to now.
Of course, I mean, earlier the BJP was opposed to it precisely because of this reason, but I agree with Ashutosh ji that it will not stop here. What will you do with the data which comes out?
Exactly.
I mean, yesterday I was listening to Yogendra Yadav ji on your show. Most of the things which this survey will bring out is already known. One is that the OBC population is anywhere between 41 to 51% or even higher. Second is that the upper OBCs and the privileged Dalits among the SCs have pocketed large portion of the benefit of reservation. This is already known, correct? It's just that the census will come out with exact numbers of the population. Now, it sets the base for breaking the ceiling of 50%. The next step, and the BJP perhaps could do it even before 2029 or put it in its manifesto and fight the elections of 2029 on the promise that it would break the ceiling. Then after that, what happens? It opens a Pandora's box. Then there would be demand of, because see, reservation in government jobs are few and very few at the moment. There are many government positions which are vacant. So ultimately the demand will then probably go to implementing this for in private sector jobs. Chirag Paswan is already demanding it, is already saying, and is one of the key allies of the BJP. So where it will stop is fairly difficult to say. For electoral gains, BJP has taken this risk. It is contrary to what their original position was, that they were trying to unite all the subcastes of Hindus amongst the larger Hindutva umbrella. Now this will lead to further strengthening the caste identities and people voting more and more on caste lines, largely on the caste of the candidates. And this definitely
what comes off?
The urban middle class support base of the...
Right. So what comes off, Sanju Verma, of cutenge to batenge? But on a larger question, you know, the BJP will have us believe it's taken out the wind of the opposition's political sails. But on the contrary, has BJP actually, taken the bait of the opposition and fallen into their trap?
You know, Preeti, I'm tired of this whining and, victim card that the opposition plays, saying, "Arey, ye to BJP ne hamara idea chura liya." When Aadhaar was implemented, they said, "Arey, BJP ne to hamara idea chura liya." When we implemented GST in 2017, they said, "Arey, dekho, ye to BJP ne hamara idea chura liya." When we strengthened the SC/ST Act, they said, "Dekho, ye to BJP ne hamara idea chura liya." Why the 102nd Amendment? When we gave constitutional status to the National Commission for Backward Classes, which did not happen for the longest time under successive Congress governments, तब भी राहुल गांधी रोते हुए नजर आए और कहने लगे बीजेपी ने तो हमारा आइडिया चुरा लिया. Then why the 127th Amendment? We actually, in the spirit of cooperative federalism, allowed states to notify 671 OBC communities in line with recommendations of the रोहिणी कमीशन. तब भी राहुल गांधी रोते हुए नजर आए, अरे बीजेपी ने हमारा आइडिया चुरा लिया. When we brought the women's reservation bill to fruition, तब तो प्रियंका वाड्रा और राहुल गांधी और उनकी माता श्री सोनिया गांधी तीनों रोते हुए नजर आए, अरे बीजेपी ने हमारा आइडिया चुरा लिया. I repeat, in the political landscape, an idea is only as good as its execution, and I once again applaud Prime Minister Narendra Modi for showcasing willpower and conviction to ensure that the caste census will be a reality come 2026. And let me tell you one more thing, Preeti. जो ये कहते हैं that BJP and RSS ideologues have nothing to do with reservation. Last point. Please note that the 27% reservation to OBCs and 10% reservation to EWS in MBBS and PG medical courses happened thanks to whom? Not Nehru or Rahul Gandhi or Rajiv Gandhi. Thanks to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
All right. But I'm going to take final submissions in one last round. But idea churaya nahi churaya. You answer my question, ma'am. I asked you one quick question, which was, has the government taken the bait of the opposition and it's a trap, because now the opposition will double down on other issues, keeping in mind and keep the issue alive.
But congratulate kiya karo BJP ko.
Okay, that's for
BJP ko congratulate.
Ma'am, वो तो कल किया था. That happened yesterday. Rahul Gandhi did it yesterday. But I want to bring in Mahima Singh. Mahima Singh, when Rahul Gandhi yesterday was asked that is the timing because of the Bihar elections, he actually said no. Because many would think that it is with a clear eye on Bihar elections where short-term gains are.
I'll take my two nuances from Hindi anecdotes and adages, Preeti. एक तो हिंदी में कहते हैं सावन के अंधे को सब कुछ हरा हरा नजर आता है, तो रोती हुई भाजपा को सब लोग रोते हुए ही नजर आते हैं, वो आपके शो पे हमने अभी देख लिया। और दूसरा ये है कि एक गाना है, झुकती है दुनिया झुकाने वाला चाहिए। नरेंद्र मोदी हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को यदि किसी ने झुका दिया तो दैट इज द ऑनरेबल लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन, पहले संविधान के सामने और अब जातीय जनगणना की डिमांड के सामने। जय हिंद, जय कांग्रेस, जय राहुल गांधी, आई वुड से ऑन योर शो टुडे।
These people are living in La La Land.
Ma'am, okay, now listen.
The BJP doesn't stop anywhere.
Let her finish. Let her finish.
Of the BJP, Preeti, I would
ma'am, allow her to finish. Please allow her.
Rahul Gandhi's victory over the BJP.
Can I just
BJP's obscurity, BJP's bigotry, the way they've been governing this country.
अरे मैडम आप लोकसभा चुनाव लगातार
I knew this, like I
rightly pointed out before. That the Pandora
exit door दिखाया है।
Can I just get
लोकसभा चुनाव going to open now?
You've lost 3
Can I just get
elections in a row.
Mahima Singh, make your point. Ma'am, quickly make your point. You have 30 seconds. Make your point.
I was saying, Preeti, that finally the BJP will have to walk, will be compelled to walk the talk, even if they're not intent on it.
Okay. All right. I will bring in Rajat Sethi right now. Rajat Sethi, do you see this as a political trap somewhere? Because the opposition will now up the game, taking on from what Ashutosh was saying. They could have stuck to their stand and weathered this storm, but they've chosen to walk into it.
Preeti ji, life is not always about politics. We, and currently the ruling party, the BJP and the government have greater things to achieve other than only winning the elections. A perverse dichotomy in our country was created by none other than the leader of opposition, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. When he created a dichotomy and a split between social justice and merit, he threw the concept of merit itself out of the window. And let me tell you, that is a red flag. If you denounce merit, let me tell you, this country will sink. Merit is paramount. And any country, pick any country which has done away with merit and has still succeeded. Again, I'm saying, the objective with which Rahul Gandhi would have uttered that word, it should have been that what do I do in my capacity when I come into power? How do I elevate the people in the Dalit community, the tribal community and the OBC to rise to a level where they can go out and compete on merit instead of shunning the idea of merit. And I think this wisdom you cannot expect from political leadership.
Okay.
The reason is because they are only bothered about one election after the next election, and country can be doomed. And I'm again telling you, one red line that must not be crossed by any political party which is giving supremacy to merit and ensuring all communities of our country can stand up.
Rajat Sethi, a larger message there. Okay. For cutting across party lines. But Ashutosh, you know, in
brief response. Preeti, allow me a brief response.
Ma'am, I will allow you once Ma'am, no. I'm going to Ashutosh, then I will go to Amitabh ji, and then all of you will get 1 minute each to make your final submissions, right? So Ashutosh ji, I want to come to you. During the 1990s, the BJP famously opposed the implementation of the Mandal Commission recommendations by saying, Kamandal ke Mandal se ka jawab Kamandal. This is Kamandal 2.0 for the BJP. What should be ideally the opposition's response from here?
See, Preeti, what I just heard the repeat of what I heard in 1990 when Vishwanath Pratap Singh implemented 27% reservation for the OBCs. Exactly same words were said there. Not one, many top leaders of the country, many intellectuals of that point, all of them had thought that they are entitled and they are the only meritorious person in this country. Since 1990 to 2025, the country has progressed. Today, we are the 5th largest economy. The GDP ran. Before 1990, when there was no reservation for OBCs, this country was as a growing at a rate of that India almost became bankrupt. The issue is this sense of entitlement in a certain class of the people, in certain the caste of the people has to go. Now they're hugely frustrated and desperate because उनके हाथ से सत्ता निकल के अब दूसरे हाथों में जा रही है. I can understand the anger. I can understand the frustration. But the issue is the process of history has to take this route, whether it was done by Narendra Modi or Rahul Gandhi or somebody else. This is the natural process.
I want to bring in Amitabh Tiwari, and then I'll give you all a timer for 1 minute to make your submissions. Amitabh Tiwari, at one end, you know, the larger political reading would be that the BJP is trying to stop the Congress from fomenting a counter-Hindu consolidation on the basis of OBCs and the caste census. Do you actually buy into that? Because a lot of the upper castes, which have been traditional vote banks of the BJP, clearly seem to be offended by this move?
No, if you see the upper caste population, whenever the census happens, perhaps it will be in the range of 10 to 15%, which is not a significant number. And the upper caste does not have a lot of choice. Because if the opposition and the incumbent government are both batting for the caste census, where does the upper caste go? Correct. It does not have a choice. So that's why it is a very, very calculated risk. From here, the Congress party has to see as to how much effort they spend on taking credit for this. Because largely, I feel taking credit for this is going to be very, very difficult. However, after having tasted blood of sorts, they will have to now move to other issues very quickly. Because if they spend a lot of time basking in glory that it is under pressure of Rahul Gandhi and Congress that the BJP is going to do caste census, they would, because it is very, very difficult to reap it electorally, in my opinion.
Fair point.
They will have to rake up other issues, largely economic issues, which the country is facing.
Largely economic issues, and they'll have to up the game and push the government bigger where it comes down beyond the caste census. I'm going to give you all 1 minute each to make your final submission. Sanju Verma, we begin with you. Your timer starts now, ma'am.
You know, Preeti, first and foremost, let me make one thing very clear. Sarkar bhi hamari hai, system bhi hamara hai.
Ma'am, we need to get the timer going. 1 second. Can we get the timer for Sanju Verma? Sorry. Ma'am, give us like 10 seconds. No, it's just that then to be fair. Can we just get the timer going? Sanju Verma, go ahead.
Okay. So, Preeti, let me reiterate. System bhi hamara hai, sarkar bhi hamari hai. System bhi BJP ka hai, sarkar bhi BJP ki hai. So, Congressiyo, zyada uchalna band kariye. But I just want to say one thing, and especially, you know, to Rajat, and this is with no offense to none. We should not assume that a caste census will be detrimental to any particular caste or specifically speaking to upper caste. Let us not assume that a caste census is anti-merit. Let us not assume that a caste census will lead to greater polarization. Because, you know, when you're assuming these things, then you are being unfair before the process has even begun. And is a caste census necessary to do away with legacy-related issues where certain castes have been at the receiving end and have not been mainstreamed in terms of the development process? Yes. Do these legacy reasons need to be dealt with within the political institutional machinery? Okay. Yes. Is the caste census a good way of going about it? The answer is yes. And my final point is only this.
Ma'am, your fader has gone down. I have no control on this. Sorry, your final point was not taken. The fader went down. Mahima saying 1 minute. Your time starts now.
To the BJP spokesperson, very humbly, I wish to remind Preeti कि वो जो एक शख्स यहाँ तुमसे पहले तख्त नशीं था, उसको भी अपने खुदा होने पे इतना ही यकीन था. So you see, the BJP has finally bowed down to the opposition's, demand of caste census, to the real public issues. Now the question is the historical historical advertent intentional delay in conducting the caste census by the BJP is finally seeming to come to a fruitful end. Finally we shall see caste census happening, hopefully, because we don't remember in the history when was it that a caste census was not conducted for over 16 years. And finally, we just wish to remind the BJP that it is a tightrope to walk. They are steering away from their ideology They are straying into our arena, and we are well prepared. I want to say this to Amitabh Tiwari also, that we are well prepared.
Ma'am, your time is up. Ma'am, but just on that point, because I just want to tell our viewers, we still refer to the data in terms of caste from 1931. So we are operating blind, especially when we are making policies for communities based on data which is 90-year-old. A lot of that time, Mahima Singh, was the Congress. So that was in your hands to change. I just want to, go across right now to Rajat Sethi. 1 minute, Rajat Sethi, final submission, sir.
Well, it's pointless to waste time on Congress. Congress and strategy are oxymoronic. They don't go together. Let's leave that aside. They brought in caste census as a typical antidote to Hindutva and Hindutva consolidation. Now, the challenge before the BJP is, given the fact that they have taken this decision, that how do you do the caste census within keeping the broad umbrella of Hindutva intact? That is going to test their innovative process of handling this issue, ensuring that social justice is done to the really underprivileged communities who have not been able to get the benefits of social justice in our country for decades. And let me also tell you to Ashutosh Gupta ji, underlining the word Gupta here, that the fact of the matter remains that such kind of dog whistling against merit hasn't taken the country forward. Country will only move forward when you ensure that social justice and merit go hand in hand. Policies, and there are enough evidences around the world to actually take out leave and ensure that this is done properly.
Your time is up. Ashutosh, I want to bring you in. I don't know why underline the word Gupta, but over to you to respond. 1 minute starts now.
My sympathies, I can only extend my sympathies, nothing more. The issue is not the electoral politics. Issue is not the economic battle. Issue is civilizational. The issue is social dignity. Issue is social fraternity. Baba Saheb Ambedkar has said the constitution has given equality and liberty, but unfortunately, social fraternity is still missing in this country. And how it is happening, can you imagine? Lalu Yadav will be identified as the Jungle Raj. Akhilesh Yadav will be identified as the Gunda Raj. Mayawati will be identified as a Bhrashtachar Raj. No upper caste will ever be identified with these words. That's the prejudice. That has to go from India. Unless that battle is over, this GDP, growth, merit is useless, have no sense, nothing. We all are sinners. Unless we do penance, the history will not forgive us.
But Ashutosh ji, the current incumbent government is also known as Thakurwad, no? But I'll come back, that's for another day. Amitabh ji, my final, question, and you can sum it up in 1 minute. The BJP deciding that they'll go ahead for the caste census, how will it play out? Has the Indian socio-political landscape changed forever?
See, the BJP has taken a calculated risk clearly while moving from a larger Hindutva pitch to a caste-based pitch. Whether it is a master stroke and it undercuts the opposition momentum, or it is a sign of giving political concession weakness, this will be seen in times to come. However, the data which it produces and the affirmative action which is going to be taken and its consequences on the overall increase of the cap of the reservation ceiling is going to change the politics forever. We'll have to wait and see. The opposition has been playing on BJP's pitch for quite a long time now. It seems now the BJP is going to play on opposition's pitch for some time. Whether the opposition can capitalize this or not will all depend upon the electoral results in the next election cycle up to 2029, and we'll have to see how this pans out.
All right. Okay, Sanjay Verma, I appreciate the enthusiasm, ma'am, but we don't have the time. I'm going to let it be. I appreciate all our guests for joining us. We leave it for our viewers on which side of this very contentious and sensitive divide that they stand on. Thank you for watching.